Live from the NJ.com studio comes the only weekly TV podcast you'll need, where a lofty critic squares off with an obsessed superfan on everything from highbrow drama to lowbrow reality. The cocktail shaker is ready. Prepare for your TV hangover. Now, your hosts, Vicki Hyman and Erin Medley.
Hello and welcome to TV Hangover. I am one of your hosts, Erin Medley, alongside the lovely Vicki Hyman. Hi, Vicki.
Hey.
Vicki, I feel like we should announce to our listeners that we are now the hosts of an award-winning podcast.
Yes. Although not individually award-winning.
As a collective.
Okay.
Because we do have...
I'll take it.
We do have 3 podcasts here on NJ.com, TV Hangover, of course, the No Huddle Show, which is our Eagles podcast, and the other one, Talk is Cheap.
Good save.
It's the Giants podcast. It always takes me a minute to remember what it is. But we have all collectively won a New Jersey Press Association award.
Yay.
It's not first place, but it's an award.
It is.
I'll take it.
It was a second place.
It was
wasn't
second place.
Yeah, better than my third place that I won.
Yeah, but hey, a winner is a winner is a winner.
Yes.
Unless you're the first place winner.
Yeah.
Then you're the best.
Yeah.
But we're the second best.
Yeah.
For innovation. All right. Well, maybe next year. Anyway, who needs awards when we have our lovely listeners and they interact with us on Twitter at TV Hangover Show, at E_meds, and at Vicki High, VICKIHY. We also have an email address. It is tvhangovershow at njadvancemedia.com.
And we answer all of our emails.
Oh, so many emails.
Yes.
I mean, by the tens.
The avalanche.
I wish it was by the tens.
Yeah.
It's more like one every couple of weeks. So if you'd like to, please send us an email. That's tvhangovershow at njadvancemedia.com. So, Vicki, what have you been up to? I know that it has been sort of a TV wasteland in a way, but now all the shows are coming back.
Well, I mean, it's been a TV wasteland, but I have been very busy, which we'll be discussing in a little bit, with Teresa Giudice.
Yeah. Or Giudice.
Giudice, whatever. So that has been taking up a lot of my time. I've been watching some previews of shows that are coming up in the coming weeks. Vinyl, 11/22/63. I have the screener for The Walking Dead, which premieres the second part of its season on Sunday. I'm excited about.
If you get a screener for Game of Thrones and you don't share it with me, I will be very
They're
upset.
actually usually good about giving us, I think, the first 4 episodes.
I cannot wait.
But it won't happen until like March, late March.
I know. It always feels like it's so long between seasons because it is. It's
a
a year.
Really, it's really only actually like 9 months because it ends and it starts again.
That's true.
But I'm excited because it's like totally new material. Like, we've gone beyond George R.R. Martin, who is not coming out with his book until like next year at this point.
Which is crazy. Because by that point, what are we going to, season 6? Season 5?
I think we're going into season 6
I think
next.
season 6, yeah. And I think they want to end it after season 7 or 8. So if he doesn't hurry up...
Well, they apparently know how it ends. He told them.
Oh.
So they're taking different paths to get there, but I think it's going to end up in the same place.
With Daenerys as the queen of...
One can only hope.
Westeros.
Maybe co-ruling with Jon Snow.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Right. Or their brother and sister, or something crazy.
And Arya in the Kingsguard.
Totally.
Yeah.
And Sansa married Tariq.
Oh, stop that. That would be terrible. That would be terrible. But maybe Jaime and Brienne married. That would be nice. Oh, come on.
I do like Brienne. Jaime,
he's redeemed himself. How did we get on Game of Thrones?
I don't know. Host chat. So some big news came out of this week, and it wasn't the Super Bowl, but it did happen during the Super Bowl. CBS rolled out the series finale trailer for The Good Wife. The show will be ending in...
Well, also announcing that it would be ending, which had been rumored.
It had been rumored. Well, a couple of days before, Michelle and Robert King, who are the creators and they're married, announced that they were leaving the show. And so people were like, well, how's the show going to go
Actually,
on?
no. What happened is that Juliana Margulies said that, she's going to be leaving the show because they're leaving the show. They didn't actually announced it like a month ago, which prompted a whole bunch of questions like, can this show go on without them? And CBS at that point was like, it could go on without them, but apparently it can't.
It can't. And that's the same thing that ABC said about Castle. When they're
Yes.
like, oh, well, if our leads don't come back, the show can still go on.
That's ridiculous.
It's like, no,
that's ridiculous.
One, it's called Castle. And two, the other show's called The Good Wife, and she is the good wife. So I don't think the show could go on without her. But the show will be ending in May after 7 seasons. I love The Good Wife. I've watched it since the beginning.
So you're a faithful follower, watch every episode, because I am not a faithful watcher.
I watch every single episode. I've watched episodes more than once. It re-airs on Saturday nights if you're up late. And you want to catch up.
Got nothing else to do.
It's also on Amazon Prime. Yeah, I don't have anything else to do. But I will say that the last 2 seasons have not been that stellar. And I think that's because the single best season of The Good Wife was season 5. And spoiler alert, if you plan on watching this, you may not want to listen. But in season 5 is when Will Gardner, played by Josh Charles, was murdered in the courtroom. The backstory on that is that Will and Alicia were students in law school, and they were really the loves of each other's lives, but Alicia went one way and she married Peter and had children, and then Will went his own way, and they reconnected at his law firm, and that's sort of where the whole series starts.
After she had found out that Chris Noth's character
Peter
had an affair, and
while he was the governor of the state
Classy.
of Illinois. Yeah,
and they'd had a long simmering thing, and then they did get together.
They did get together, and this is something that came up this season where Josh Charles' character professed his love for Alicia, and she never got the message because Eli Gold,
played by the great Alan Cumming. I do try to keep up.
Yes. He deleted the message because he wanted Alicia to stay with Peter, her husband, because it looked better for his political career. He finally fessed up to that this season, which a lot of fans were totally on board with. Like, only the Kings could make a call back to like season 2 or season 3, whenever that happened. It was a long time ago. But there was a point where Alicia and Josh Charles' character hooked up. But alas, it wasn't meant to be, and he was murdered.
He was murdered like halfway through, right? And so there was a lot of her recovering from that. I watched a couple of those episodes.
Yes, lots of tears, and it was a complete shocker. It was the one time in recent years that I can recall where people kept a TV secret. Like, no one reported on this. No one had any idea that Josh Charles was leaving the show. And so when he died, it was like, what the heck? Like, he's a main character, like a central character to the show. So his death hit fans hard. But that was back in season 5. And I will say after that, the show just never reached that bar again.
Well, this is a show that actually my husband loves. And so it's one of the shows that when he is not forced to watch something I am watching for work, I sit there and I'll watch it with him, and I annoy him incredibly. Like, okay, who's this again? And how does that person relate? And why do they call it Chum Hum? Because that's the stupidest name ever.
Chum Hum is the name for the Google.
Yes, I know. It's just so stupid. Yes. And I just got really confused because it seemed like they were like starting a lot of different romances for her, like with the Matthew Good character, with the Jeffrey Dean Morgan character, and it was like,
well, Finn, last season was a main character. He was I think he was an attorney. I think he was a prosecutor, and then he went private and started working with her or whatever. And I thought they had great chemistry. And then at the end of the season, he was like, I'm going back to my ex-girlfriend. And we're like, okay. And then this season, for season 7, her new love interest is Jeffrey Dean Morgan, who we have spoken about in the past, who is so attractive. Like, there's just something about
Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Yeah,
no matter what it maybe not in his personal life, but on TV, I'm just like, oh, I see it. I see the chemistry. So in last week's episode, they kissed. She kissed him in an elevator. She realized, like, life is too short. You just
so that is not petering out like the last one did.
No.
Okay.
No, I think we're going somewhere in the last 9 episodes of this show. So I will be sad to see it go, but it will live on forever in reruns.
Well, I'm going to be actually very happy because I don't have to hear my husband complaining every Sunday night that football is preempting his show and it didn't tape and and I have to like tape like hours of CBS to make sure that he gets to see The Good Wife. He sounds like so ridiculous.
And
I'm
so
sorry. I love my husband.
You get a little bit of CSI Cyber in there.
I don't know. I mean, there's just he'll turn it on. He's like, "What is this?" I'm like, "It's called football, David." A lot of people like it.
That CBS Sunday night really irks me during football season because it's so true. You expect your shows to start on time. Your DVR is not that smart. It doesn't realize that your show's not starting on time and that it needs to add some minutes. So if you don't do it, then your show gets cut off.
Sometimes as much like half an hour.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes it's an hour. And it's like, oh, The Good Wife will begin at 10:02. And I'm like, oh, it's starting on time. Oh, wait, the show comes on at 9. Like, it's not starting on time.
So I'm happy about that.
All right, fine. The less complaints for Vicki, the happier we all are.
That's true.
As we all know. So, Vicki, it's been a huge Housewives week.
Yes, it has been.
And you are our Housewives guru, not because you want to be, but because they pay you to be.
They pay me to be, and I've just been doing it for so long. It would be a shame not to use all that knowledge.
Of course. And, I consider myself a Housewives pro. I watch all the franchises. I love them all. So our friend Teresa,
yes,
who's been out of jail now for about a month and a half, almost 2 months.
December 23rd, 6 weeks.
She's making the interview round. She has her new book that came out. What's the title of the book again?
It's called Turning the Tables from Housewife to Inmate and Back Again.
I see what she did there with the tables.
Yes.
I get it.
Famous for
flipping that table. Season 1.
She's perched on a table on the book cover.
Oh, boy. Okay. Yeah. So she's been making the round. She was on Good Morning America. On Tuesday night, she was on Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen.
Mm-hmm. And she also did, I think, an interview with E!
Oh, did she?
Yeah, sometime in the middle of the day. I read it. I watched it. There isn't a whole lot new. Quite frankly, a lot of the things that people have been asking her, she said before she went to jail. The only thing that's new really is like her experiences in prison. And I had read it all in the book that I speed read in 3 hours yesterday, so I can report on it.
Please tell us about the book. How long is the book, Vicki?
The book is, I actually wrote this down, it's 261 pages.
Large font?
No, regular font.
Oh, okay.
Regular font, 261 pages.
Pictures, drawings.
There are pictures in the middle, which is nice, which, it was co-written with Casey Baker from People Magazine, and you'll be shocked to know that People got exclusive access to those photos.
Wow.
And yes, that's how it works.
The inmate photos.
Yes.
With her fellow...
Which I know you loved.
Oh, I love them so much. Like the jumpsuits and the shoes and the poses.
And the attitude, yeah.
The attitude. And I love Watch What Happens Live last night. She gave a shout out to the girls. Mm-hmm. I miss you, girls. I'm like, all right, let's see how many of these chicks show up on Real Housewives.
Wouldn't that be
when
great?
They get out. No, they're not showing up.
That would be so great.
It's all for
return of Danny Provenzano from season 2, Daniel Staub's friend.
Oh my god,
that'd be so awesome.
First of all,
give some edge to the show.
Why haven't we announced on this podcast that Daniel Staub has a book coming out? A tell-all.
Who? Oh, Daniel Staub. Yes, I wrote about it. Yes.
The People, that's the book I want to read.
Supposedly.
Supposedly what?
Well, she said she's writing one. Doesn't mean it's going to be published.
You don't think that she could publish her own? I know people who work in this office who have published their own books. Okay? Oh, wait, not you, Anthony. I'm just... Producer Anthony's like, stop talking about me. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about some other people. Anyone could publish a book.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
That's right.
So let's dive into this one-on-one with Andy Cohen. And you have an interesting story. Yesterday, something happened on Twitter with Andy.
Yeah, I was tweeting a lot. Thank you. I picked up 30 Twitter followers yesterday because I was live tweeting the book as I was reading it with choice excerpts. And at one point somebody asked me, what'd you think of the GMA interview? And I didn't really like it that much. I thought it was kind of softball. And I said, I hope Andy asks, better questions, but somehow I'm betting he won't. And then Andy tweeted at me, what would you like to know? And I just reeled off 3 or 4 questions. I would really like to know the answers. He said one of them. He didn't credit me. I'm sure a lot of people asked this question, but he did ask her one of those questions.
But none of them asked them as eloquently as you did in 140 characters.
It was a subtle question, I have to say.
I think so. So one of my favorite things about you, Vicki, is how much you love to rip Teresa for not taking accountability.
Yes, I'm not the only one.
But you're the only one I listen to.
I just really feel that I am voicing the frustrations of many people who feel the same way.
Vicki Hyman, a woman of the people.
Yes, I am.
All right. Well, she talked about that with Andy last night. He did ask her. Let's listen to what she had to say.
Tons of people have been tweeting me today saying that that they don't know if they see you holding yourself accountable. Do you hold yourself accountable to what you did?
Of course I do.
You do?
I did,
What did you do?
I signed papers without reading them, and
which is not a crime.
Before I ever do that again, I'm going to make sure whenever I put my John Hancock on, that
Her
I understand
John Hancock,
fully
that was my favorite
before
part.
signing any other papers in the future. And I pled guilty to what I did. I got sentenced. I served 11 and a half months. I apologized to the judge. I did my time.
Have you paid your restitution?
My restitution's paid, thank God.
Her restitution is paid, thank God.
But of course, and one of the questions I asked Andy is that she also owes $551,000 to the IRS. She owes to at least some creditors money from her failed bankruptcy. And a lot of people are like, looking out for the little guy, and she owes money and blah, 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 and she's buying the Lexus, which we'll get to. So there's a lot of other things besides the restitution. She is not debt-free.
Right. That's important to realize. I just like to note, while you can't see us here in the studio, Vicki rolled her eyes the entire time.
I was like rolling my head.
Because signing papers you don't read is not a crime.
Yes, okay, this is what I have to talk about. I actually have a theory. I have actually a very good theory for this. Okay, so Teresa, in taking accountability for her crime, she thinks her crime is signing papers without reading them. That is actually not the crime. The crime was bankruptcy fraud and conspiracy to commit wire and mail fraud. I think that she says is very specific and probably lawyered explanation for a reason. I think also one thing that some people would like to see her express is remorse in addition to accountability. She said she was sorry to the judge. I think that we have never really fully gotten, I think maybe she said she was sorry to her fans at the reunion, but it never really felt like she was so sorry for what she did. What she did was bankruptcy fraud. So she didn't list her assets, she hid salary, blah, blah, blah. She has a lawsuit pending against her bankruptcy lawyer, James Cridell, I'm not sure how to say it. And I think that she's also mentioned that she doesn't blame Joe, but she kind of blames the legal people who are around her. And so I think this is all part of her not wanting to take responsibility because she has an action pending against her bankruptcy lawyer, and she's blaming him for the reason why she ended up in bankruptcy fraud. So she's saying, I signed papers. It's not like I was trying to hide them. He didn't list them. I don't know why he didn't list them.
Right.
So I think it's all the legal strategy. She can't say, yes, I did all this, because then she wouldn't have a case against the bankruptcy lawyer.
And you think she is astute enough to realize this?
I think her lawyers are astute enough to realize this.
Got it.
And I think she is astute enough to know this is what she has to say.
Right.
Because she always says the same thing.
Right. She doesn't go off script.
She does not go off script. I think she very deliberately does not go off. Like I was actually surprised, and we'll get to it maybe, about what you said about Melissa Gorga, which seemed like truthful. It seemed more genuine than a lot of other things she says. But this, and there's one other thing I would like to get at, about, what am I thinking of? About the deportation. Can I go to that now?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, this is my other theory. Every time she is asked about deportation, Joe faces being deported to Italy because he was never an American citizen. She always says the same thing. She says, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, or I'm taking it one day at a time, we're not thinking about it, blah, blah, blah. Well, I believe that one of the defenses for not deporting somebody is that they have a strong family bond. And you shouldn't deport him because his family's here, And if she were to say, yes, of course I'd go with him to Italy, which, probably she loves him. She probably would go to Italy. It's not a terrible place to live.
Right.
So she can't say that because then the federal government would be like, well,
okay.
Quick, go. Bye. See ya. Sayonara.
Right.
Ciao. So I think that is why she very specifically says that.
Very good theories, Vicki.
Thank you.
I think
way too much about this.
Clearly, because my theories were way more simple. It was like,
which were?
My theory is that Teresa is not that intelligent, and she'll just say and do whatever someone tells her to say or do.
Well, I mean, the theories actually aren't.
They're not. They
can exist in the same universe.
They can.
That's all I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying.
They can.
Well, I'm saying she's actually got some sound legal advice there.
Her lawyer, who you are in frequent contact with.
Well, he does answer my phone calls, which is
nice
which is nice. Yes.
So one of the
Occasionally.
one of the other questions that you had for Andy to ask Teresa was about the Lexus. We all saw the photos, the big red bow sitting in the driveway when she arrived home from prison, and he did ask her the question. He did not credit you, but I just insert your name. And Vicki Hyman asks.
It was, how do you think coming home to a new Lexus SUV looks when you just got out of prison for shady financial doings?
Well, my lease was up on my car, and I needed a car.
Yep.
So Joe got me a new lease, and he got me a Lexus. So it's a lease, and Lexus decided to put out that big red bow. And of course, you know, they were smart. They knew tons of paparazzi was gonna be at my house.
Yeah.
So they got a lot of, you know, press for that.
Do you see how people would think that it was improper?
I mean, I even said to my husband, I'm like, why did you put that red bow on? He's like, I didn't put it on. He's like, Lexus did.
So it's fascinating. There's like actually two questions there. It's not the question she asked, which is she was answering, why did Joe buy you a car? That's the question she was answering. And people, of course, want to know, well, why didn't you buy a Honda or a Kia or something like that, which is a valid question.
Right.
But he was asking, and this is the subtlety, did you not think about how it would look if you come back from serving time for bankruptcy fraud, for trying to defraud the federal government, how much money you owe and whether you should be forgiven for your debts? When you come back and get an $88,000 car with a big red bow in it that everybody can see.
But do you think this goes back to the accountability question? Because if she thinks that all she did wrong was sign some papers she didn't read, then no. Why would she didn't commit bankruptcy fraud. She just signed some papers.
Well, there are two things. There's that, and there's also the fact that, which Andy did not ask her and I asked him to, maybe he'll do it tonight at the 9:30 Watch What Happens Live. Okay, what about the other money you owe? You owe more than $500,000 to whoever.
Right.
To IRS and to your creditors.
But don't you think that's why she emphasized the word lease?
Yes, but still, yes.
That's why she said it that way.
And fair enough, you have a lease. You don't need to lease an $88,000 car. Maybe the amount of a lease of an $88,000 car is just as much as it costs for a Honda Civic.
Doubtful.
I don't know. Maybe the difference is not that major, but it's about how it looks. It looks very bad.
Well, do you really think that she's that concerned about looking that negatively? I mean,
well, no, that's the thing. I think that for Teresa, and I don't understand why it is, but I think appearances are very important to this couple.
But not the right appearances.
Well, I mean, they think it's the right appearances. They want everybody to think we are doing great.
Correct.
There's no problem.
Right.
And I don't think that endears her to a lot of people.
She's still on the show.
She is still on the show because there are enough people there's enough people who love her and enough people who hate her.
Correct.
That's why people keep tuning in, for one of those two reasons.
Do we think this book is going to be a New York Times bestseller?
It's actually New York's Times bestsellers author. She said that once. Sorry. New York's Times bestsellers author.
I can't.
I'm sorry, I can't get over that.
It's too much.
I don't know. It'll probably do well.
Well, speaking of Teresa being back on the show, one of her biggest nemesis on the show, is that right?
Nemesis? Sounds like something she'd say, right?
Her foe is her sister-in-law, Melissa Gorga. And Melissa was a topic of conversation on last night's show. She had been on Watch What Happens Live previously when Teresa was in prison. Andy asked her about Teresa, whether or not she'd gone to visit. This is what Melissa said, and this is what explanation Teresa gave.
Melissa was on the show once, and I asked her if she was emailing with you, and here's what she said. Have you visited Teresa yet?
I have not. Joe has.
Joe has?
Yeah, I requested to go, but I haven't been approved yet.
By her?
No, I think it's by the place.
I think it's by her.
That Andy is so shady.
So why did you not put her on that list to email you or visit you?
By the time she sent it in, it was like 3 months later, and my list was full at the time. And I took my brother-in-law Pete off the list to add my brother. And when I left, I mean, obviously, things weren't the greatest between Melissa and I. And you'll see on the show, I ended up saying it. I really didn't want to spend. Me and my brother were laughing about it. It was a scene that we already filmed, and I said to him, I really didn't want to spend 5 hours sitting with Melissa and chatting with her in the visiting room.
You did.
And we laughed about it.
Right.
Because that's
But
funny.
now,
It's truthful.
You're going to have to tune in and see what happens in season 7.
It is truthful.
It is truthful, which let's give her credit for that.
Yeah, but it was said in a very Teresa way where she didn't think it could be hurtful. Like, yes, it was truthful, but there was nothing in her that would think like, oh, this is going to come out really badly by me saying that my brother and I were laughing at his wife because I didn't want to talk to her for 5 hours. Like, that sounds terrible.
I don't think it sounds that bad.
I think it sounds bad.
Given all their history and knowing that they're doing this for the camera.
I guess.
I mean, quite frankly, I thought that Melissa was being fairly disingenuous during Teresa checks. It's like, I don't know why I'm not on her list. It's like, really, Melissa, you don't know why she... Yeah.
We did agree with that. I did think that Melissa was playing it up a bit for the cameras, but it sounds like they made up now, and we'll have to tune in to season 7
sometime this year.
Sometime, yes.
Yeah.
I love
sometime.
I love that preview. It's like later this year. Like, you want to give me a time frame? Like how many months?
Sometime in the next 11 months.
Who knows? And finally, one of the hot talkers on the. Or during the interview was about the Joe cheating rumors, which we heard the entire time.
I mean, I've been hearing this for years.
Or
the divorce rumors.
Well, remember that one episode when they're in the vineyard?
Episode. Yes, granted.
Oh, so good. I wish we had that clip. I'd rather play that. But here is Teresa talking about the cheating rumors.
There were a lot of tabloid reports while you were away that Joe was cheating. What was your reaction to those?
I saw them because the girls, you would get the magazines there. One of them, matter of fact, was one of our friends that, Joe was in AC down AC with him, and made him take a picture with this blonde, which was a friend of his, and then he sold the story. And then we found out that he was having money problems.
So you didn't believe any of these reports?
No, listen, Andy. I think by now you know me. If I didn't want to be with Joe, I wouldn't be with Joe. If Joe didn't want to be with me, he wouldn't be with me.
That does not answer the question whether or not you
but
believe
I think it's, again, pretty true.
It is very true. It is very true. Yeah. So anything else you want to say on this whole Teresa Giudice book tour whirlwind interview?
Well, I'll be at Bookends tonight in Ridgewood talking to her fans.
You will be?
Yeah.
Are you going to stream this? Can you Facebook Live this for us?
I don't even know what that means.
All right, we'll make that happen. So you guys follow Vicki on Twitter and follow NJ.com on Facebook. And you may see some live video. Our Real Housewives discussion continues. Vicki had the chance to talk with Charrisse Jackson-Jordan, who is one of the housewives on the Real Housewives of Potomac, which is the latest franchise on Bravo. She's also the wife of Eddie Jordan, who is the basketball coach for the Rutgers men's team. Any interesting insights, Vicki?
I'm going to write about it later, so I hate to ruin my lead, but I thought one of the most interesting things was that when I asked her, of course, you seem very concerned about appearances and acting appropriate, and yet you joined a Real Housewives franchise. And she said, well, I thought it'd be fun, which is what a lot of them say. But she also said that, she'd had 3 deaths in her family recently. And she thought, this would be a good way to get out of it. And I don't even know, where in the stages of grief joining a reality show is. But okay.
It's the 6th stage.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's insane. But let's take a listen to Vicki's interview.
Personally, I'm a Real Housewives of New Jersey devotee, although I'm watching your show as well. My podcast co-host, Erin Medley, has watched all of the shows, all of the Housewives, and she really wants to know which is your favorite franchise, and is there any cast member of any of the franchises who you consider sort of your spiritual sister?
You know what? I think in terms of the Housewives, each show is different from the other. We're all in different cities. Everything is different. Everyone's unique. Each show is unique in its own way. I actually like all of them. I like all of them. I'm very supportive of all of them. Because I'm from New Jersey, I have to say Jersey. That was my first love, was the Jersey Housewives. But in terms of... You asked the second question about.
Yeah, out of all the housewives, who do you feel the most? I don't know what the right word is, but who do you think is most like you? I guess. Who do you think that you would like to spend time with?
The hard part of that question is I don't really know any of these people personally, so it's hard to say this one is just like me. But just based on what I've seen on the show, the different shows. I'd have to say more like a Candy Bird, only because I feel that, she's more, I just feel this genuineness with her. That's something that I try to be, is a genuine person. She has that characteristic that I have that I hate the most about myself, is that emotional component where it's easy for me to cry. And I really was hoping I could go into this without being a crybaby. But, I'm me. That's part of who I am. So I can't, erase that. But she, to me, seems like, she's very down to earth. I think I am, even though right now everybody thinks I'm a snob. But I'm not. I'm really a down to earth person who, just likes to enjoy life, and not really engaged in so much of, the nonsense, So that's why I think she would probably most likely be the person I think connects with me.
So you say you're down. You say you're down to earth and you're not snobby. Now you've seen the first 3 episodes. How do you feel you're being portrayed?
Mm-hmm. I thought I was portrayed very snobby.
Okay.
And I had to look at it. I mean, at the end of the day, that's me who's on there, and that was who I was. Who I am. Sometimes people think that I am without really knowing me. But I think that moving forward, you'll see that I'm not that person. I mean, initially, I guess I came across that way, and it's not, unfortunately, I personally don't think I'm really that person. And people who know me know that I'm, not like that at all. I'm not snobby. I don't look down at anybody and all of that. I do, however, think that, in terms of, Karen kind of took that whole etiquette thing and times 1,000. But I just think that there are certain ways that people should treat people in a respectful manner, and there's certain protocols in certain situations, I do.
Look, let me tell you something about Miss Charrisse Jackson-Jordan. She's going to have to give better interview if she wants to stay on the Real Housewives of Potomac.
Well, I just love the fact that she's like, I'm not snobby. I'm like, have you seen the show?
Are you watching? Do you know how you... Well, clearly she doesn't know how she comes across. Yeah. Are you going to continue watching?
Do I have to commit?
Sigh. You don't have to.
Maybe.
It
kind of. My Sunday nights are pretty full. I gotta say. I got Vinyl coming up. I've got
Girls,
Billions. Girls is coming back together. I mean, there's a lot of stuff I gotta watch.
All right. Yeah. If it makes it onto your schedule, let me know.
Okay,
because I'll be watching. Obviously,
maybe I'll be dipping in and dipping out.
Well, Bravo has branded Sunday Shady Sunday.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Shady Sunday. And I'm like, the shadiest person on Bravo is Andy. Let's be honest, okay? Vicki, last week, the Madoff miniseries rolled out on ABC. Mm-hmm. This is something that I had been trying to watch for 3 weeks to review ahead of time. Mm-hmm. You and I only watched the first 2 hours.
Oh, no, my friend. I watched the second 2 hours. I was in the mood after, all the financial stuff with Teresa. It's like, let's see this writ large.
And...
it was interesting as sort of a 2-night miniseries. I think, I'm always saying this, it could have been 1 night, but it was very much in the TV movie of the week mold, which is something that we've gotten away from.
Right.
It's all limited event series. So I thought that was interesting. In the end, I thought they were a little bit too in love with Madoff.
Yes.
And it really bothered me. And I thought that, it was interesting to see how he got it to work, but they were reveling in his magic skills. And then the downfall was the last hour of it. And I wanted more of that.
Do you think it was very Wolf of Wall Street? Where
I didn't see Wolf of Wall Street, I have to say.
No.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so in Wolf of Wall Street,
I know about it, obviously.
It was very... I mean, I can't say it was very similar. They didn't.
I think Bernard Madoff was, or Richard Dreyfuss as Bernard Madoff was reveling in how devious he was, and I got the feeling that in Wolf of Wall Street they were more reveling in what it could buy them on the lifestyle, and he was like, didn't lead like some ridiculous lifestyle. I mean, he was very wealthy, obviously.
Wait, in Wolf of Wall Street or
Madoff? No, in Madoff.
Oh, right. They didn't lead a ridiculous lifestyle. Yeah. I do think it was all about the game and the money and like figuring out how to keep it going. But I think what the show didn't do well enough was demonize him, because this man stole money from, I think I watched the documentary that aired after the second night, and I think it's like 20,000 people have claims in.
He ruined Elie Wiesel, a Holocaust survivor and a Nobel laureate. I mean, my God, the man has no shame.
Yeah, thankfully, I think the IRS or the government or whomever is doing it, I don't know, announced last week that they recovered 11 million of the 11 billion.
11 million is nothing. Okay.
11 billion of the 17 billion that was stolen from victims. So at least these people will get, that's a lot of money to give back. So thankfully, but I just didn't like the tone of the movie. I don't think Bernie Madoff was likable enough, or at least Richard Dreyfuss playing Bernie Madoff was likable enough for me to forgive his transgressions.
I mean, it's kind of like they were almost trying to make him an anti-hero, and he's absolutely not an anti-hero.
Like
nothing they did made him feel like an anti-hero.
Right. It had a very Goodfellas type vibe to it, where it's like, the guys are bad, but you like them anyway. And I didn't like him. I just didn't like him.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that there were. I thought Richard Dreyfuss still gave a good performance, despite I think he was given bad material.
Right.
And I thought there were a lot of other good performances in there. I really liked his Jersey pal, Michael Rispoli. No, is it Michael Rispoli? His last name's Rispoli. Who played Frank?
Oh,
the guy on the 17th floor.
Yeah.
And I thought I really liked his relationship with Bernie, in the sense that Bernie didn't think very much of him, but knew he would do the dirty stuff. The whole you probably didn't see it. At one point, he gives Bernie Madoff this very, my grandma would say, Unka watch, blingy watch, and Richard Dreyfuss's character, Bernie Madoff's like, oh, thank you so much, and then later he realized that Bernie Madoff gave it to his limo driver.
Oh.
It was a lot of really good. There were some small moments that I did like.
Well, I did, like I said, I didn't finish watching the movie, but I did watch the documentary, and I think what was surprising to me, and maybe I just forgot about this, was that his sons had no idea about what
I think
was
some
going
people
on.
will still say maybe they did, but in this version they did not, and it's tragic what happened to them.
Yeah, the one son died of cancer, and then his other son, I think Andrew, he was the one who was married with 2 kids who committed suicide.
Yes.
And I listened to his wife, and I completely believe her, where she's like, this destroyed my husband. She had no idea. The sons are the ones that turned him in.
Yes.
So had they known about it, that's one thing, but I didn't recall that. And now Ruth Madoff, the wife, who alleges she didn't know, now that I do not believe, but she alleges she didn't know, now lives her life in solitude in Connecticut in her 1-bedroom rental.
Yeah, she tells played very, very well by Blythe Danner. She tells her husband late in the last hour, I can't even get my hair appointments anymore. They won't take me. Oh my God.
Rich people problems.
Yes.
All right, well, that's going to do it for this week. We will be back next week to talk more TV. In the meantime, follow us on Twitter at TV Hangover Show. Subscribe and review us on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, and Spreaker. And don't forget to tell your friends that you're listening to a second-place award-winning podcast.
In New Jersey.